Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to R Square Technology. I'm your host Ryan, and let's get ready to SOLIDWORKS. Woohoo! So in today's Monday challenge video, a brother from another suggested to me that I try to model a single part that has the appearance of an assembly of parts. So with that, let's get a little crazy, a little creative here, and make something like that happen. Fasten your seatbelt for this one. It's going to be a wild ride. Alright, so here we're going to be doing a little bit more of, say, clay sculpting on this one. So for this, save a part as whatever file name you want and wherever you want. It's totally up to you. For this, I'm going to choose the lovely front plane to start. This is going to matter for which plane I start on because the orientation of the part really doesn't matter because it's an end-all be-all part rather than a part going into an assembly. So, with that, we're going to start with a bounding box, or technically cube, and we're going to choose the dimension lucky number 7. I'm going to press the control key to make the vertical and horizontal line here equal. I love using minimal dimensions when possible. There are other situations where it's more complex, so it doesn't quite makes sense to do equal relations. You may want to do different dimensions and they drive off of each other. There's a number of different ways to do it depending on what your part design is and what it requires, and being able to keep track of when you change this, what else is going to change, and is that change predictable to your part. That's the big thing to keep in mind when making a solid part and even further the assembly. So, but in this case, this one is purely for fun, and arguably I don't think you'd do it this way. You'd, again, make each individual piece and as its own part, and then throw it together in an assembly file. So, we got our first square part here. We're going to turn this now into our cube or bounding box. And I'm using the term bounding loosely because I can obviously make anything go outside of this, but we're just using it as kind of our cube frame of reference. So I'm going to go into the Features tab. I'm going to choose Boss Extrude. In my end condition, I want to be mid-plane. By default, it is probably going to be blind, which is okay. But I want it mid-plane because I want the center of this part on all planes, front, right, top, to be in the center. We'll do 7 here, so it's a 7 by 7 by 7. Save it. And now what we're going to do from here is we're going to cut from the inside out. And we'll do that by choosing the front plane, because the front plane, the top plane, and the right plane are all technically in the middle of this cube. So, because, again, of extruding it mid-plane and where I drew the sketch and the center point relation of the rectangle. So now I'll bring the front plane, hit Control 8 to bring it normal to. Now it looks like I'm going to draw on the front face of this cube, but I assure you I'm not. So we'll go to the Sketch tab, click Sketch. We're going to choose another center rectangle. We want the origin again, want everything centered off the origin. And for here we're going to do an offset of, say, 0.375. How about that? And again, I only want to use a single dimension to drive all of these cutouts because we're going to have a cutout on the front plane, the top plane, and the right plane to hollow out this cube, so to speak. So what we can do is, again, our lovely control key, we'll choose this vertical line here, choose this horizontal, and then over here in the properties, under add relations, we want to choose equal. Click OK. We have all black lines, a fully defined sketch. Down here in the bottom right, you'll see something that says fully defined. You want that always. Now I'm going to go into the Features tab, and I'm going to do an extruded cut. Now this is again in the middle, and I want to choose the end condition through all both, so it cuts out both sides. There's a number of different ways you can do this. This is definitely a quick way, and I'm not concerned about what it would potentially cut through on the outside because again, everything else I'm going to create is inside this cube. Now, if you were concerned about what it may cut through on the outside, you may want to choose a different end condition, say up to surface, which is going to be highly accurate. So up to surface, it stops right there, goes no further, no less. Right at that surface, it will cut out that side. When you do that, however, you're going to have to do one of two things. You're going to have to either then close out and consider that one feature, then go back in and do it again going the other direction, or in this case, you can do direction 2 and the same thing of up to surface, and then choose the other side. So now it's going to cut through both sides, the front and the back, with one feature of cut extrude. So for this one, I'll do it this way, just to show. And then I'm going to press the space bar and bring the front plane normal to. So there we go, we've cut that out that way. Now I'll hit the space bar and bring it isometric. And one thing let's do here now is we're going to take the second sketch we created, which was absorbed by our cut extrude feature, and we're going to rename this. So sketch 5 here, even though it is only our second sketch, I'm going to click on it once, and then you can slow click on it twice to get the rename, and we're going to choose this as master offset sketch. And the reason why is because this sketch is going to drive all the other cut extrude sketches. So that way, when I change the dimension of the cube drives the offset from this sketch, and everything would change proportionately predictable. And I won't have to go into each individual sketch for the cut extrude and change the dimension, even though there's one. I don't want to have to deal with that if I don't have to. So now we'll save it, of course. And the other thing is, let's do this. We'll leave it hidden for now so it doesn't get too messy. So next, you can either do the right or top plane. We got to do a sketch on both. So let's go right plane next. Control 8 to bring it normal to. Go back to our sketch tab. Choose a center point or center rectangle. Drag out. Click OK. Now what I'm going to do is, while I'm in this sketch, I'm going to right click over here in the features tree on my master sketch and show that sketch. So now with clicking the center scroll wheel, I can turn and manipulate the parts so I get a better view of that master sketch. And then from here, control key again, I'm going to select that vertical line from the master sketch, and I'm going to select the vertical line from my current sketch. And over here, under the relations, I want to make that equal. You can see where this is going. And now I'm going to hit the space bar and bring my sketch normal to again, because I don't need the master sketch anymore. Though you could arguably use the horizontal line of the master sketch and the horizontal line of this sketch and make those equal relation. I'm just going to do the exact same thing I did for the first sketch, which is we've already got this one equal here. It's underdefined. There are no dimensions. This is purely relation based. That's going to fully define it. So I'm going to press Control key, select my vertical line, select my horizontal, and again add the equal relation. And then we'll close the dialog on that. And again, it's fully defined based on the origin here, the center rectangle's parameters, the constraints that it puts in place, and then we have all this. So from here, now I can do features, I can do the extruded cut, and this time I'm going to do end condition through all both, speed it up a bit, and click OK. And just like that, we're almost done hollowing out this cube boundary box. So now I'm going to do the top plane, Control 8 to bring it normal to, choose a sketch, do the center rectangle on the origin. Then here, again, I'm just using my mouse wheel, pressing it in to manipulate the part's position. We're still in this sketch. I'm going to press Control, grab the master sketch vertical. Ooh, we grabbed everything. So Control key, grab the master sketch vertical, grab my current sketch vertical, close out of that for a moment. Edit the sketch. So we're going to grab this horizontal here and this horizontal here. I forgot. So what's happening here is if I try to grab this line here, it's on a completely different plane, so it won't be able to recognize it. But in this case, we can choose this bottom line here, the bottom horizontal of our master sketch, and then we can choose this horizontal line here, because technically they're parallel, they're just like this, right? Perpendicular, it's kind of freaks out and being like, how am I supposed to make this equal? It's kind of weird. So then we'll do an equal relation that way. And then from here, I can go back normal to. Now notice something. The center of this rectangle is not on the origin. So I'll grab the center point of one of these diagonal lines, control on my, click on my origin, hit coincident. That way we're back on center. And then I'm going to press the control key again, choose my vertical line and my horizontal line, hit equal, boom, fully defined. Go to the features tab, do an extruded cut, make sure we're on through all both, and hit OK. And from here, over in my features tree, I can right click and hide my master sketch. So I'll hit the space bar and bring it back. I have this in trimetric, which from this drop down you can change it. So there's isometric, which should be the default. So now we've got the bounding box. So the next thing I'm going to do, how about a sphere? So let's go back to our front plane again. We're inside it, because again, front plane is in the middle. We'll start another sketch here, and this time we're going to start with a midpoint line, origin, everything is centered on the origin. So, and let's do for this, let's go 1.5. And then we'll start a 3-point arc using that line as the endpoints. And here you can see there's a little white box with an angular icon. If we select that, it's saying that it's 180 degree. Now the origin, the center point of this arc, I'm going to drag it out. And pressing the control key, I've already selected it, I'm going to select my midpoint line and I'm going to choose a midpoint relation. That fully defines this. Otherwise, you could choose to make this with a radius of half of 1.5. No necessary. Again, if I can minimize the dimensions I have to put into something, great, do it. Now from here, I'm going to go to the Features tab, and then we're going to do a Revolve Boss Base, and I'm going to press the center scroll wheel to show the direction of rotation. I have it set to 360. I need a center axis of rotation, which would be this line here, and boom, we got a sphere. So already we've got two different shapes, and this is one solid part. This is not an assembly. So hit save, and now we're going to do some really crazy geometry here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I'm under the Features tab, and I'm going to do a reference geometry plane, and I'm going to choose 3 vertex points. I'm going to choose this corner here on the inside, over here on the inside, and then down here on the bottom. Bring it in, and boom. Fully defined over here on the left. Good to go. And now I'm going to go to the front plane to show you what's, sorry, let me go isometric. So you can see that this plane is technically at a 45 degree on the center. There's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can do it based on an axis in the center of that sphere, but I want to do the 3-point reference. There's going to be different reasons why you would choose what you do for a plane reference. So, again, because you want predictable change to happen, and depending on how your plane is referenced, it may change dramatically and unpredictable depending, so it's something else to keep in mind. So now I'm going to take and select plane 1 and bring that normal to, which is going to make this now a diagonal, funky view here. I'm going to choose a sketch, and I'm going to choose a center line, which I also consider a construction line. And then I'm going to choose this corner here. But more specifically, I want to be on the inside because I want to choose this corner here. And then I want to choose the origin. And then I'm going to right click and select. And then I'm going to hit the space bar and bring that normal to for you again here. Again, this is just a reference line for sanity for me. I'm not going to really use it for really anything else. So we can now exit out of that, hit save. And then what I'm going to do is rotate this here. Then I'm going to make another plane, reference geometry, choose a plane. Now what I want to do is I want to grab this vertex here of that line I just made and the line itself. This is what that line was created for, so I can create this reference plane here. Fully defined, so I'll click OK. I'm now going to right click on plane 1 and hide it. I don't need plane 1 anymore. Plane 2 is my focus for now, so select plane 2 from the feature tree or in the graphics area. Control 8 to bring it normal to. Now is where things are going to get confusing because it's like, alright, where is this thing going to be? So, plane 2 is right at this point against this. And then from here, what I'm going to do, make another sketch, and I'm going to create a circle. So check this out. I'm going to draw it out here, away from where it's intended to be. I'm going to give it a dimension of, say, 1/4 inch, 0.25. Then we can click OK to close out. Control key again, selecting the center of the circle. And now I'm going to select this line here and choose a pierce relation. Now, I'm not going to use this circle as a boss sweep along that line. That's what you'd kind of use the pierce for. It's going to have a number of different reasons why you would choose that relation. But I'm just using that to get this circle on that plane and exactly in the center of this corner joining point of my bounding box here for the extrusion. And now we can go into the features, and I'm going to use one extrusion feature for this in 2 different directions. So we don't want mid-plane, so the first thing I'm going to do is we'll do a blind condition, and we're going to switch the direction, and I'm going to make this point 125, and let's go 0.1875. We just want to make sure we're going. Now I'm being lazy because what's happening is I'm extruding this far enough to where it's going inside my bounding box. Otherwise, if we were going to do an up to surface method, I would literally have to create a bunch of pie cut reference geometry and individually extrude up to surface, depending. So I'm just going to speed it up that way. Now direction 2's end condition is going to be up to surface, and I just want it to smack into the sphere here, and we'll call it good just on that. And Control S, and we're going to hide this. I'm also going to hide this reference construction line here, no longer needed. Let's go to our front view for a moment, see how we are. So we have this thus far. So now we don't need to go through that entire process again. All we're going to do is on the front plane, we'll start a sketch. I'm creating an axis of rotation, by the way, for this. From here to here within the sphere, fully defined. We're going to exit this. We're now going to go into the Features tab. We're going to find Linear Pattern, come down and choose Circular Pattern. Now in the box where it says Pattern Axis, click like 1,000,000 times. We're going to choose that axis that we did. We want 4 instants for this. And then down here in our Features and Faces area, we're going to select in here for the feature. Now in the graphics view, you'll have the little down arrow for the flyout feature tree. We're going to choose the boss extrude and simply click OK. And boom, we're halfway done there with these particular features. So now what I'm going to do is choose the top plane. We're still under the Features tab, and over here we're going to choose Mirror, and then we're going to select the circular pattern and click OK. just like that. We did all of that off of just one feature, just did a pattern and then a mirror. So we'll hit save, and then we'll hide that axis. And then let's make this a little bit more fancy. So here's what I'm going to do for this. I'm going to choose this outside surface, and then I'm going to choose a reference geometry, and we're going to do 3.5 minus 1.5, 2.5 divided by 2. And we're going to flip the offset. Then I'm going to choose Control 8 for normal 2 on that sketch plane. I'm going to go into Sketch. I'm going to create a rectangle. Again, I want it on that origin. And I'm just going to infinitely drag out. And we're going to choose 1.25 for this dimension. We're going to choose this line, horizontal and vertical lines. We're going to make those equal. Again, single dimensions wherever possible. I'm going to exit the sketch. And then I'll click this outer surface again. And I'll do another reference plane. And I'm going to choose 0 offset on this. And then Control 8 to bring it normal to. Then I'll go back to my sketch, and I'm going to simply go and choose a point right on the origin. Rudolph's nose right here. We'll close the dialog. We'll unselect point, exit the sketch, Control S again. And I'm just going to tilt this to the side so you can watch this awesome feature. We'll go to our Features tab. We're going to choose our base sketch, sketch 12. In this case, your numbering may be different, by the way. So let me do this for clarity. So we're going to do a lofted boss base, and in my flyout, I want this previous base sketch I did, which in my case is sketch 12. Yours may have a different name. And I want sketch 13, which was that singular point, because I wanted to make this pyramid. And now from here, I'm going to hide both these planes, save it, and then I'm going to rotate the part around with my center scroll wheel pressed down, select the back side of this pyramid, choose sketch on it, and then I'm going to choose a circle. Now you can, at this point, I'm comfortable with the orientation to be able to make it and know what I'm doing, but Control 8 to bring it normal to if you're confused. The sphere is in your way, so you're going to have to rely upon the fact that, again, I've made everything centered on the origin. Center of the circle should be the origin. And from there, you know that it's going to be on that face. So from here, I'm going to choose a dimension, again, 0.25 for the pipe, the circular structure lattice we got going on here. And then going to do a boss. This is going to be a single direction, and this is going to be up to surface. And now I'm going to click and center scroll wheel to bring it around. Choose the sphere. I'm going to select OK. And now we're, making something pretty crazy here, pretty artistic. And now from here, I will finish up with a few things, which is we're going to bring this axis sketch back. Again, under the features, do a circular pattern. I want to choose this axis, features, and grab these. Feature, and click OK. Beautiful. Save that. Now I'm going to go to my right plane. Actually, we'll go top plane. So top plane. Do a sketch. We'll do a center line here, another axis. Let's fix that. We want it to actually be this way because I need to choose that origin, spacebar, normal 2. Oops, not that way. Edit the sketch, bring it normal 2, clear this out because we're not going to need that. Let's not confuse ourselves on axis. Now we'll go features, another circular pattern. Now we'll choose this axis. Check this out. 4 instance still. Go to our flyout, choose the same loft boss extrude. Now I'm going to do instance to skip because we already have this one here. We'll hide these reference axes, no longer needed. And there we have it. We have ourselves kind of what would be an assembly, but all made in one part here. Alright, as one added bonus, let's throw in some color to this part here. So let's just start with the bounding box cube here. I'm right click, choose the appearance, choose the face, and we'll select this orange here. Now I'm going to floor it through this. The same thing applies, right? I'll just click OK real quick and show you that. Let's make the pyramid faces. Again, appearance, you want to choose face. And we'll make that red. And that would apply to these faces here. And so on. So we'll fly through this and catch up in 2 seconds. And just like that, we are done. Alrighty, that is going to do it for this Monday challenge video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in both my Wednesday and Friday tutorial videos where we get more in depth. Of course, my Fridays videos are far more structured if you actually want to learn the concepts of SOLIDWORKS. My Monday challenge videos and my Wednesday random tutorials, they're a little bit more for fun, and you can definitely follow along, but Fridays are reserved for definitely getting down to the nitty-gritty of learning SOLIDWORKS. Thank you for watching, take care, and I will see y'all in the next video.